Sat Sri Akal. Good morning. How's the Josh? Come on, I can't hear this, you know. I've come to Oman and I want to know, because I've seen so much of love and care here in Oman. I want to know from you, how is your Josh? That's the way. It's so great to be here. I'm so privileged that the best chapter in their category, that is the Muscat chapter, has invited me. I'm really grateful to CBFS, sir, the Dean, the Acting Dean, and the other guests who have come here, to the entire management committee, which took the pain of calling me and looking after me, and also to ICI, which gave me this confidence to stand in front of this enlightened gathering. And after hearing from such beautiful speakers who have covered actually everything. You know, so what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to cover theory with you. Because theory से कोई आज तक जीता नहीं है. You never win by theory, you only win by implementing theory. And that is what we need to do. And I will teach you from my own experiences. The privilege to go to at least 15 different countries, from Japan, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Spain and US, and a few more countries. But one thing I found in all those countries, that wherever the organization had synergy, that organization functioned extremely well and was successful. And synergy is the quality of leadership. Like somebody just said that synergy is a top-down approach. Sir had mentioned that. Synergy is the prime responsibility of the leader and the leadership. Can you see this handsome-looking Sikh, young, in the fighter pilot's dress? You know, at a very young age, the Air Force gave me challenging tasks. So they made me the instructor of the Top Gun school in India, which is tactics and air combat, some of the greatest guys who are sitting in front of me, right? So when we look at this, how many of you have seen Top Gun movie by Tom Cruise? I think a lot of you have seen. And at that age, same age as Top Gun went, I also went at the same, I went at the same age, and I want you to see a short clip of Top Gun movie, and I'll tell you what I learned.
Gentlemen, you are the top 1% of all naval aviators. The elite, best of the best. We'll make you better. Fly at least 2 combat missions a day, 10 classes in between, and evaluations of your performance. Now, in each combat sequence, you're going to meet a different challenge. Every encounter is going to be much more difficult. We're going to teach you to fly the F-14 right to the edge of the envelope, faster than you've ever flown before. More dangerous. We don't make policy here, gentlemen. Elected officials, civilians do that. We are the instruments of that policy. And although we're not at war, we must always act as though we are it.
What are you doing?
Tip the spear.
Just wondering.
Let's be sure.
Who's the best?
In case some of you wonder who the best is, they're up here on this plaque on the wall. The best driver in his reel from each class has his name on it. And they have the option to come back here to be Top Gun instructors. You think your name's gonna be on that plaque?
Yes, sir.
That's pretty arrogant, considering the company you're in.
Yes, sir.
I like that in a pilot. Remember, when it's over out there, we're all on the same team. Gentlemen, this school is about combat. There are no points for second place. Dismissed.
Nice going.
In life, there are no second place. There are no points for second place. You all agree with this? The first thing I was taught by my service, Indian Air Force, was be confident. Even when you are given a task which seems impossible, don't say no. First say yes. Now look at those people who are more knowledgeable, more experienced. Go to them, take their guidance, look at the different options that you have, choose the option that is best suited to that situation, and go ahead and take that task as a mission to be attained at all costs. And let me assure you, ladies and gentlemen, that whenever a task is given to a military officer, whichever service that he belongs to, whichever place that he belongs to, whether it's in Oman or India or anywhere else, they always take it as a mission to be accomplished. Jeetenge hum. The success will be ours. And first thing that was taught to me was synergy. Synergy of flying in formations of 4 aircraft, 8 aircraft, 12 aircraft. You are leading the formations. Sometimes the numbers were more than 20. You are collaborating, coordinating, and synchronizing with each other, both beyond your packages, beyond your elements, as well as within your element, where you are looking at how to make sure that when you are flying at 800 to 1,000 kilometers per hour, there is no margin for error, and any small mistake or a fraction of delay could lead to disastrous results. And that is what your mind was working ahead, collaborating with everybody else, bringing in synergy so that everybody was moving towards a common purpose, a common goal. Look at this picture that I'm showing in front of you. How many of you have seen the wild geese or the cranes move from Siberia, come to a lake near Ahmedabad, traveling thousands of miles? How many have seen the V formation? I think everyone has seen this V formation. Have you ever wondered why the birds fly in V formation? Yes, but it is to create synergy. And how does that synergy come together? Can you see in front, the lead one, he's flapping his wings vigorously. And what are the other people doing? They are all doing keh, keh, keh. They are encouraging him to flap faster, harder. When you flap your wings, it gives you lift, as well as the wings go back, you get thrust to move ahead. And it also creates a wave, a kind of a wave which is behind, in the wake of which the other birds do not have to put in so much effort. So they are merely gliding, as you can see. But if you see in a single line, everybody has to flap very hard. So when this chap or the leader gets tired, he moves back, the other one takes his place, the birds keep doing keh, 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 and that leader is now flapping hard. And this way they travel 70% more distance than they would have gone if they had gone alone. And that is working together. Ladies and gentlemen, if birds can do it, why can't we do it within our organizations, between the organizations, within our departments, within our teams? Can you see the handsome looking Prime Minister? And you see the Chief of Defense Staff? You also see our friends, Omani soldiers here, you know. And look at the first thing. It was mentioned when we were creating the object at the top. In case of the armed forces, it is the political object that lays down the military goals. And that is why they have to be in synergy first. Can you see both of them smiling? And that is the synergy which has to stop from the top between all the stakeholders. And then the three services, whether it is the Army, Navy, or the Air Force, they have to be synergized together and work together at the operational, tactical, till they achieve their goal. And you have heard this definition, I'm not going to repeat it, but synergy is when two or more organizations work together collaboratively, coordinate with each other, cooperate with each other to produce a combined effect that is much larger than the sum of individual parts. And that is the whole purpose of synergy, to work together to produce that combined results. And why do we say this? Because it is directly the function of leadership. Why do I say that? Because in military, we define the leadership as the capacity and the will to rally men and women together towards a common purpose, and a character that inspires confidence. Inspires confidence. And when we are looking at this Look at two important aspects: capacity and the will to rally men and women together towards. Before that, when you are rallying men and women together, you are actually making a huge team of the Army, Navy, and the Air Force working towards a common purpose, which is the shared vision that my sir was talking about in different corporate sectors. You know, what is the strength of the Indian Army? 1.17 million. And what is the strength of the Air Force? 170,000. Strength of the Navy is 70,000. Over 1.25 million is the strength of the armed forces, the third largest in the world, and the most professional armed forces in the world who synergize together very effectively. And when we are talking of synergy, may I request you to kindly give a hand to create professional armed forces. One is that of India and one is of Oman. Thank you. Now, I just want to tell you a few things. You know, when you divide the army, they are divided into corps. Then they are divided into divisions. Each corps has incidentally 40 to 50,000 soldiers. Each division has brigades. Each brigade has battalions. Each battalion has company. Each company has platoons which has 15 to 20 troops. And then see the diversity. You could have infantry or the full soldiers, you could have mechanized infantry or the ones who go in Bakhtar Band Gadi or the armored personnel carriers, or you have tanks, you have air defense weapon systems, you have missiles, you have fighter aircraft, transport aircraft, helicopters, you have drones, you have space satellites, you have frigates, destroyers, corvettes, landing shift craft, and each of this diverse element has to combine together to produce that combined effect. If the armed forces can do it, it's much simpler with about 1.25 million force. I'm sure a few thousand force can combine together and produce a much greater effect. And it's not just synergy on ground. You have to do a cross-domain synergy starting from the satellites, which is in Spain, to the hypersonic and ballistic missiles, to the airspace where you have drones and aircraft, to the surface, to the ships, to the subsurface, which is the submarines. And this is the kind of synergy that is required. Then only can you win the Tiger Hill as we did when it came to. I promised you that I'm not going to cover theory. I'm going to only tell you my practical experiences. And as you can see, I'm telling you only practical experiences. I have found that synergy cannot be created by just the general saying, Sipahi Bhoop Singh, kal se synergy hogi. It doesn't get created like this. Means he can't tell the different departments, the different organizations, that from tomorrow there will be synergy. Synergy does not happen like that. Synergy has to be created. And it has to be created by having effective planning. And that is what Sir was mentioning. If you read through the lines of Mr. Lean when he was talking about it, he was saying the same thing, you know. It has to be started with the strategic plan. And remember, I showed you the smiling faces of the Prime Minister and the Chief of Defense Staff. And then we came down. It has to be started at this grand strategic level of the political and military leadership, at the strategic level of the three armed forces, at the operational level where three armed forces combine together in an operational theater, and at the tactical level when you have to occupy the next hill. So write down that link is there, and that is what he was trying to explain to you even in his banking structure, because all our organizations create synergy in a similar manner. But I am going to tell you how to practically create synergy. It is easy to say create synergy, but it is so difficult to actually create synergy because human beings are involved. And each human being has his own egos. And each human being wants respect from each other. And we all want our respect, but we don't want to give respect to others. And that is where you have to learn one thing, that synergy can only be created by the leaders as a top-down approach, and synergy has to be created by carrying out a systematic planning at the strategic, operational, and tactical level, keeping in mind that you appraise the entire environment. You undertake the strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, that is SWOT analysis. You identify your own strengths, your own weaknesses, the competitor's strengths and his weaknesses. You identify the market opportunities and threats, and then you come down to weighing the different options that you have and where should you be focusing at. At the end, choose that option which gives you the optimum results. Is that not what, sir, the corporate sector does eventually? Similarly, like the military. The bigger picture. Let's take the example in the corporate sector of Hero Cycles. I think everybody here knows Hero Cycles, one of the prominent hero group in India, and the Honda group, which is the prominent, I saw a lot of Honda cars in Oman. They both combined together in 1984. If you remember, in 1983, Maruti came with Suzuki. The motorcycle segment was still vacant. The Hero Cycles grabbed the opportunity and they said, we will align. Remember the words you were saying in the morning? Align the strategic objectives together and create strategic guideline so that we create the biggest motorcycle or two-wheeler industry in India, which looks after the entire South Asia, including Bangladesh, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. That was their strategic guideline. But what was the strategic philosophy? Very simple. The Japanese give the technology, the Indians produce the manufacturing base and the labor because it's pretty cheap, and we create the best motorcycles. Before that, I used to have a Yazdi. There were only two motorcycles in India, Yazdi and Bullet, like we Punjabis call it, or Bullet, or Royal Enfield, and those gave a mileage of only 25 to 35 kilometers per liter. But when this motorcycle came in, the strategic guidance was, in India, kitni chalti hai is more important. Therefore, they came out with a saying, fill it, shut it, and forget it. Once you fill the fuel in your fuel tank, shut it, and thereafter you'll keep going on and on, because it is going to give you a mileage between 75 to 85 kilometers. I couldn't believe it, but it was 4-stroke engine. It gave that mileage. I was very happy. I was still the Top Gun instructor, so I could drive that at speeds of about 80 to 100 kilometers an hour. That is the bigger picture. But once the strategic alignment went off, see how I'm mixing my experience with actual what was happening in India in the mid-80s. Now what happened in 2010? The strategic alignment started going away. Why? Because we wanted more advanced technology. Japanese were not willing to give that because our motorcycles were doing well. Hero Honda group was the major group in India. They didn't want to give advanced technology. We wanted to expand beyond South Asia and go to the other countries in the world. Today, Tata vehicles I see here on Oman roads also. So the strategic alignment went off, and you found that Hero Honda broke up, and now it is Hero Motoco from July 2011. Now, everybody tells you what to do, but how many tell you what not to do? And I'm going to talk to you because you're all chartered accountants, and I have had the privilege to work with ICI as their consultant dean, and I was lucky to learn a lot from my friends like Ravi ji here, Gaurav ji, and many more who are sitting here. I have learned a little bit about international taxation, to prevent base erosion and profit shifting. For those like me who did not earlier know what is base erosion and profit shifting, I'm sure 90% of you know, and I'm going to tell something to the tot, but I will still repeat it. It is something like the Apple company. I have an Apple phone created by Steve Jobs. They shifted their operations from the US to Ireland, a $350 billion, then today is $394 billion operations. They shifted it so that they could pay less tax. Now, like that, many companies have shifted to tax havens where they pay less corporate tax, because corporate tax in Ireland is just 12.5% in comparison to 21%, and I believe it is 15% here in Oman. Is that correct? And also, the intellectual property right tax is just about 2.5%, so the large amount of money could be saved when they moved their operations from US, and they did that, and who was the loser? The G7 countries. And therefore, the G20 decided to task the OECD so that they could come up with a strategy which could say how to prevent base erosion and profit shifting. Now, how they went about it, I just want to take 2 to 3 minutes more because you are all great experts of international taxation and chartered accountants, most of you. What they did, they came out with Pillar 1 and Pillar 2 approach. How many of you know these approaches? Experts would obviously know, so don't pinpoint holes. Okay, so the Pillar 1 approach is that they will target the 20 billion euro plus revenue generating companies such as Apple, Google, Facebook, and they will ensure that these companies are more than 10% profitability, and they will create a thing they call Amount A income, which would ensure that the 25% of the residual profit beyond the 10% revenues generated would be given to market jurisdictions and not to the original tax jurisdiction where that company is based at now. Is that right, sir? That's Pillar 1. Thank God I could come out with it correctly. So when we look at it of this Pillar 1, the Pillar 2 is much simpler, incidentally. It is going to target 750 million euro revenue companies, and those companies will directly be charged at a flat rate of 15%. It's so simple, but no. First we have to go to complicated, and that's why I said we should not do what I'm going to tell you now, what they are planning to do. So in this Pillar 1 approach, they have two different approaches which they have given you the choice to do it. Single taxpayer approach and multiple taxpayer approach. In the single taxpayer approach, they are looking at one entity of the entire group like Google, and that entity could normally be ultimate parent entity, and where it is based would become their lead tax administration. And that entity is going to look at 2030, like Apple is in 19 countries, so Apple is going to be in 19 tax jurisdictions. So is going to look at different group entities in each of these tax jurisdictions, use a tool so that it can source its revenues down to which market jurisdiction that revenue is originating from, and then take that Amount A income from this sourcing beyond the 10% revenue and use a 25% residual tax onto it, and now distribute it into the market jurisdictions. Have you understood anything for those who have heard first time? And I'm telling you, everything is right that I'm telling you. It's so complicated. You have 19 tax jurisdictions, each has different tax structures, tax rates. Most of them have different accounting years. In Oman, it is the calendar year, if I'm right. So 1st January to 31st December. In India, it is 1st April to 31st March. In US, it is 1st October to 30th September. Most tax jurisdictions have different accounting years, different rates of taxation, different methodologies of taxation. Add to that the complexity of language. How many of us can understand Arabic who are Indians? I cannot understand right now, sir. I'm extremely sorry. But it will be difficult for you to understand Hindi if you have never learned before. So if imagine the Sipahi Bhoop Singh, who's going to be part of that tax structure of Ministry of Finance, how is he going to understand the single and multiple taxpayer approach, do this sourcing of revenue, identify that 25%, and that tax jurisdiction has to give away that in the form of relief, because now it is double taxation, because you're going to give that money to the market jurisdictions. See the complexity. And which tax jurisdiction would allow its money to go away to the market jurisdiction? Sir, would you allow it like that? You will always put some objections. Now add to this single taxpayer approach, you got a multiple taxpayer approach. Multiple taxpayer approach means each group entity would be calculating on its own, which it is much easier to do, sourcing its revenues and paying that tax to the market jurisdiction in addition to the local tax jurisdiction, and then taking the relief from the local tax jurisdiction. So in the first approach, the entity that is liable to tax and liable to relief is not the same or may not be the same. But in the second case, the entity that is liable to tax and the liable to relief is the same. And if both such group entities are operating in the same place following different approaches, see the confusion that it is going to create. Remember, when you plan always keep your plan simple, because the Sipahi Bhoop Singh down the chain has to understand it, otherwise that plan is likely to fail. I can assure you there will be a lot of litigations once this come up. 140 countries have already agreed to it, 136 have signed, but when it comes to implementation, you will find there will be a lot of issues if both tax approaches are used. So I just want to say in this that if you want to create synergy, always keep your plan extremely simple. You know, after seeing the bigger picture, it is also important to never ignore the details, because details are the one where daily you're going to achieve your goals. And that is why it is important that the plans have to be shifted into end states or goals, which could be 3 to 5 years, yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, or daily. And you have to win daily, to win weekly, to win monthly, to win annually, and to get to where you want to go. And how do you create these goals? You know, it is easy to dream, but if the dreams do not have goals, then they are just.
Fail big. You only live once, so do what you feel passionate about. Take chances. Don't be afraid to fail. There's an old IQ test, was 9 dots, and you had to draw 5 lines with a pencil within these 9 dots without lifting the pencil. The only way to do it was to go outside the box. So don't be afraid to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to fail big, to dream big. But remember, dreams without goals are just dreams, and they ultimately fuel disappointment. So have dreams, but have goals, life goals, yearly goals, and understand that to achieve these goals, you must apply discipline and consistency. In order to achieve your goals, you must apply discipline, which you've already done, and consistency.
How do you create the goals? And again, what I'm going to show you now, the next 5 questions are totally mine. By my experience, no books I have read for that. You have to ask these 5 questions at whichever stage in life that you are, whichever organization that you are commanding, however big that organization or small department or small company. Where are you now? Where do you want to go, and why? Suppose you are just a 20-employee company with 12 CAs and CFAs and 6 lawyers and just 2 administrative people. You want to grow into a consultancy firm of 100 to 200 employees within entire Oman, or you want to shift from Oman to Middle East and then to Asia. Determine where you want to go and why. This why is very important, because why for the Sipahi Bhoop Singh is important to know why he is particularly doing that job. If he doesn't understand that, then he will not be watching your back. And that is very important in every organization to create synergy. This why is the binding force. And remember, I look at synergy as synchronization energy. This is mine. It is not got from any books. And I look at synergy as an energy developed by the leader within the organization. After we why, we get to how will you get there, and that is the strategy. Incidentally, the word strategos or stratagem has originated also from military. It is actually meaning art of generalship. And that is what is strategy. And strategy is nothing but plan of action. And how do you know if you got there? Now, what you see is a roadmap that I created for ICI Center of Excellence with the help of Nihar Jambusaria sir. He was sitting here some time back. I wish he was here just now to see his fruits. And this is the kind of roadmap that you must have for every department, every team, every organization, even if you are merging and acquiring, or you're creating a huge conglomerate. And in this, create different phases for development, from exploration, approval, evolution, refinement and recognition, and you are looking at different milestones at different times with the timeline written here, then you know whether you are able to achieve what you have planned to achieve. And you can continue to refine it as you go through life, because there will always be obstacles. There are 4 key principles. I'm not going to cover them only for one reason, because much greater people than myself are going to cover the co-creation and collaborative co-creation. Gauravji, where are you, sir? Please raise your hand. Yes, he's there. He's going to cover it. He's a great TEDx speaker. I'm not going to steal his thunder. No, that's a different Gaurav. But where is he? He's going to come. All right. All right. So collaboration, cooperation, and focus. I want to cover the main thing, focus. You know, every day you have multiple tasks. Every day you have to do number of things. It's easy to show diagrams of, empathy, defining, then ideating, test, prototype and test. But when you have to do practically on ground, tell me karna kya hai, what have I got to do, you tell me that. And that is very important, and that's why focus is prioritize your works for the day, look at which has higher priority, and within that focus all your energies, because if you dissipate your energies, you are not going to create a good product at the end of the day for whatever task that you have created. And so it is very important. And when we are looking at co-creation, I just want to show you how the armed forces do co-creation. You know, he was mentioning a concept at the top, at the strategic level. Now that concept we call as CONOPS, concept of operations. It is the strategic concept which is devised by the senior leadership to find out where do you want to go and how do you want to go. And that strategic concept is identified by a team of experts from different fields, but it doesn't stop there. That is my way. And from my way, I have to get to their way. From their way, I have to get to highway, where entire team is together in the synergy. And that is why we follow every type of ideation, whether it is mind mapping, whether it is brainstorming, whether it is body storming, you can call anyway. Basic idea is you try to find out as many holes in the strategic concept. You want to identify as many loopholes, and now look at contingencies and then work out your plan and refine your plan. And that is the idea. And when we do this, you see, we do it on charts, we do it on maps, we do it on sand models. We have sand models created of the target area to say, yeah, this is our goal and mission, and let us look at this is our strategic concept, and now you tell us whether the strategic concept has holes. And this is actual pictures of how the planning, brainstorming takes place in the military. Whereas in collaboration and cooperation, you're looking at going towards a shared purpose, US armed forces with the Indian armed forces, Omani armed forces with the Indian armed forces, when you have a common purpose. That is collaboration. But cooperation is when you help somebody achieve his goal. And both are important. And how do we do that? You have to create, again like I told you, mujhe karna kya hai? Create group norms. Now a lot of MNCs do this group norms. How do they do it? They got a kind of a logo here, they have a tie, or they write behind Tata Metallics, and then that person feels very proud. Look at the armed forces, they all have uniform. Moment you wear uniform, you have pride. You say mission for me is important. And in my case, when I'm a Sikh, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, when he died, he said, Guru Granth Sahib will be your living Guru, and you have 5 Ks, including the Kesh, and I wear a turban. I can be identified in the battlefield. I cannot run away from the battlefield. I have to fight till the last man. And this is the group norms you have to create in your organization. Yesterday or day before, I saw a meeting of corporate take place here, a lot of games, a good food being given out, a lot of smiles and happiness. They were trying to do this. And group norms is also how you behave with each other when you interact, collaborate and cooperate. And communication is the key for that, to create the shared purpose. At the end, it is also the responsibility, remember sir was talking about teams, it is also the responsibility of the leader to create team. I want to know, what is the difference between group and a team? Anyone. Difference between group and a team. Both work towards a common purpose. So don't tell me that one moves towards common purpose. Both work towards common purpose. But yes, that is true. No, ma'am. Even in a group, political group, there is a leader. You find a rally, he calls everybody. So there is more inclusiveness. More important, if I were to talk military, then I'll tell you the technical definition. The military says, watch my back and I watch your back. When my back is clear, I can go ahead and do my mission, not worried that somebody is going to shoot me when I'm going to do my mission. Look at this picture. He is watching the back of this guy who's going ahead for the mission. And in technical language, you'll call it mutual accountability, where everybody feels accountable to the team goals and says, because Dr. Behel doesn't know too well advanced Excel, then this young kid comes, quickly does it for me, and I don't have to waste my time over there. She's filling my weakness, so we have to fill each other's weakness in the team so as to achieve. Remember, the strength of the chain lies on the weakest link. And how do the armed forces bring together and become a team? I want to show you an incident that took place in May 2020. When Galwan Valley took place, some Indians had laid down their lives for this. At that time, this Sikh regiment was moved from mountainous area to higher mountains. And before the Sikh regiment goes, remember I told you our living guru is our Guru Granth Sahib. We take our Guru Granth Sahib forward because it gives us the confidence that in the battlefield, our guru is along with us. He's fighting along with us. I want to show this video to you, and I will ask you, look at, on the left side is the commanding officer, nicely dressed up Sikh officer, who's carrying the Guru Granth Sahib along with his senior most junior commissioned officer. I'll ask you about him after this video. Can you play this video, please?
धरती तन होए अंबर सबे दुख मुके सच्चे पातशाह जी हथ बन दिया मत्था टेक दिया तुसी आन टुके सच्चे पातशाह जी हेठा चानण दा दरिया वगे उत्तो मेहर दा बरसे मेघ बाबा जिन्ना थावां ते पाए पैर तुसी उत्थे अज भी वरते देग बाबा नानक सब का एक ओंकार नानक सब का एक ओंकार नानक तू नूर दा फुटदा चश्मा तू रोशनियां दी रेखाएं दरबार सच्चा बाकी सब परमुख लेखाए
The living guru, the Guru Granth Sahib goes first. Now, when I pointed out that gentleman to you, he's the commanding officer, handsome looking Sikh guy. Tell me what is so special about him, besides that at -6 to -10 degrees, he was barefoot because he was carrying the living guru. What was so different about him? He was walking on the cold ground. You know, he's not a Sikh, he's a Bengali officer. A Bengali officer who doesn't even keep their beards, but he kept the beard, he wore the turban, he behaved like a Sikh, because he's going to lead the Sikhs to the battle. Imagine when you love and care for your troops so much, why will they not give their lives for you? They will. And that is the care. You know, everybody tells you, show care to your team whom they are working. I saw that care in Oman, incidentally. I saw that care from my friend Ravi Deora and for 10 people who came to meet me and then took me to the restaurant, right from the airport onwards. I saw that care. From the chartered accountants, I saw that. Oman, I saw. You can see care in eyes. This I love you is three words are too common now. Everybody says it and they don't mean it. Young will say that, yes? You know, if you say I love you, it has to show from your eyes that you actually love that person. You have to love your team. Then you see the synergy that comes into the team. Sir. Ji. Okay, in one line I will say, they're talking of the Guru going along with us and they are praising the Guru that he is along with us. To Noor, Noor means you are our ultimate, you are our protector, that you are along with us. And when the Guru is along with us, there is no mission that we are incapable of. And I think that is the nutshell. And what is the leader doing? He's creating trust. Most leaders try to divide their teams so that they can have their control. The moment you forget about that and you start uniting your team and different organizations, different banks, different everything, you find everything goes well. And everybody in the world, every human being, they'll have different culture. They'll have such lovely dress that sirs are wearing here. The dean and the acting dean, I feel so proud looking at them, and I got myself clicked because of that reason. You may wear differently, you may speak differently, you may eat differently, you may behave differently, but at the end, you are a human being. And need of the human heart is to be understood. Everyone. Tell me here sitting everybody, don't you want to be understood by your partner, by your children, by your teammates, by everybody? Right or wrong? But I don't see that yes coming fast. People don't care how much you know. Forget about theories. Stop talking artificial intelligence, robotics. Sabko pata hai, and khaskar the new generation knows it much better than me. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, and that care comes from the eyes to create this. There was a golden principle. I'm finishing in next 2 minutes. There was a golden principle. Treat the people as you would like to be treated. I said no. I want a platinum principle. And that platinum principle says, treat the people as they would like to be treated. And that is very important because let me give you an example. I went to Thailand, and as we are in India, especially from North India, we tend to put our hand on top of the beautiful looking young kids to bless them. Yesterday I did that here also. I hope they didn't mind. But in Thailand, they say you are stunting a child's growth if you put your hand there. And the escort officer pulled my hand away. He says, if you don't want to be criminally sued against, please don't ever touch any child on the top of his head when you are in Bangkok or Thailand. So, treat the people as they would like to be treated. Empathize, everybody has covered. Yesterday it was covered so well. And the other thing, how do you build relationships? It is not by speaking too much. When we say communicate, communicate doesn't mean speak too much. In fact, you should never speak if it hurts anybody. And when we talk of speaking, there are 3 gates by Lord Buddha. Is it true? 90% of our conversation, we don't know whether it is true or not. Yes? Is it necessary? Most of the things that we taught, what we talk are not necessary. But then we still talk because we are human beings. But this last thing we can do at least, is it kind? Can we be kind? You cannot build a relationship if you are not kind. I can assure you, whichever country, whichever culture, whichever family you may be from, if you want to create relationships which is the base of synergy, every communication of yours, is it kind? If it is not kind, don't say it. And it's a leadership function. great leaders of our time. They fought bullets. He had 7 bullets in his stomach when he was still fighting to complete his mission. He jumped down from a burning aircraft to save his gunner who was walking towards the Pathans who were going to shoot him. And they had these qualities. Besides physical, moral, they never gave up. In life, we come across situations where we feel everything is an obstacle. Even the day becomes very dreary. Everything seems to be going wrong. That time we ask God, why me? मैंने क्या किया है? What have I done to deserve this? It has happened with me many times. I'm sure it must be happening with each one of you. On those days when you really feel bad, why God is doing this to me? Don't give up. Remember what he said, discipline, consistency, I would say persistence. Don't give up. Dawn is just a breath away. And most of us give up when dawn is just a breath away. If he had persisted for just a bit longer, perhaps we would have won. And how do you say you're a leader? If your actions inspire others to dream more, to learn more, to do more, and to become more, then only you are a leader, not otherwise. And best way to create leadership is work and play with your team. And this is Japan, incidentally. This video went viral over there because I was teaching Bhangra to the young kids in Japan. Bhagavad Gita says there are 2 paths. Sankhya Yoga for the knowledgeable one, Karam Yoga for the doer of action. And he who knows the difference, indeed knows the truth. Let's be Karam Yogis. And every day when we get up in the morning, we look into the mirror and like Tom Cruise say, I am the best. कर खुद ही को बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से पूछे, बोल तेरी रज़ा क्या है? And to end, you want to know how you have fully created synergy? What is the line that you should say? Say it again, sir. Yeah, that you should say. दिलों को जीतने की कला आ गई तो समझ लो कामयाब हैं हम. That is when synergy is achieved. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Oman.
I speak on behalf of the organizing team and other members when I express our appreciation and respect to our eminent speaker, Dr. Ashminder Singh Bahal, for not only taking time out of his busy schedule to speak at this event, but also for sharing with us his excellent and inspirational presentation. Thank you, sir. Let me call upon Mr. Yasser Al-Kalbani, Assistant Dean at CBFS, to felicitate Dr. Ashminder Singh Bahal.
It was a great presentation and motivation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. You are kind.
It is now time to pick out some raffle winners. This segment, we will be having 3 lucky winners. Starting with Zoho Corporation, let us find out who the lucky recipient of the Apple AirPod Pro is. Number 65.
Yes, it has come.
Number AirPod Pro. Congratulations, number 53. Moving on to our sir. We have two. Moving on to our next sponsor, Tally, providing 2 JBL speakers. Let us find out who the lucky recipient of the first JBL speaker is. Number 18. Number 18, please come on stage. And now for the second winner of the second JBL speaker. Number 109. Do we have number 109 here? 109 going once, 109 going twice, 109 gone. Let us move on to our next winner. Number 188. Do we have number 188 here? Please do come on. Congratulations, Alok. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to our fourth speaker. I am honored